My bass box is pretty similar to most anglers. Plenty of spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, crankbaits, both in plastic and timber, modern jerkbaits, plenty of surface lures, particularly paddler style surface lures. Then there's some oddballs in there too, things like beetles and frogs. Then a few vintage lures find their way in. These sort of oddballs and vintage lures, they get cycled in and out, they come and go. But there's one model of vintage lure that I always have in my tackle box, and that is a Heddon Dying Flutter. I bloody love them.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh, yep, got him. That's a decent fish. Yep, got him. Oh, it's a good fish. They're pretty basic little lures, about 95mm long or 3 3/4 of an inch, and they weigh 10.5 grams or 3/8 of an ounce. They got twin props, toe point and rear treble are held in by screw eyes, and the front treble is held on by a small harness. Whenever I throw a new one of these in the tackle box, I cut off the old hooks and replace them with the standard split ring and treble setup, rather than the old school harness through the eye of the hook. It probably hurts their collectability a little bit, but after all, lures are made to fish with, not collect. Heddon is a US company, and these lures first hit the Australian market in the 1950s. I first read about them in John Bethune's Bethune on Bass, where he sang their praises quite highly, and I knew if old Mr. Bass liked them, I had to get my hands on some. That other great John of bass fishing, John Turnbull, wrote about the Heddon Dying Flutter occasionally over the years. It even got a mention in his periodical column in the Canberra Times in a piece titled "Where Have All the Good Lures Gone?" in January 1982. He laments the fact that you can no longer buy the little Heddon Dying Flutters, and also notes the demise of the Burke Little Big Dig and that all-time greatest bass lure, the Rublex Floppy. Consider that foreshadowing for some future videos on vintage lures. But I had a look at the old Heddon catalogues, at least the ones I could find online, and came across a US-based website called Bass Archive, which turned out to be a fantastic resource for yank lures. It seems that the Heddon Dying Flutter was still being produced in the 80s, shown in catalogues from 83 and 85, and they do also appear in the 2006 Heddon catalogue. So certainly by the 1980s, it wasn't available for import into Australia. Maybe it was still available on the US domestic market, and then it seemed to be available in the early 2000s. Maybe it was discontinued, brought back. I don't know, I couldn't work it out. One thing that's for sure is that these definitely are not for sale anymore. I picked all these 6 up on eBay, and I think I averaged about $15 each, which is pretty good as far as successful bass lures go. And these are successful bass lures. Let's go get them wet. Ooh, yep, got him. Doesn't feel a huge fish at all. Well, the Dying Flutter might be a reasonably big bass lure, but they don't mind hitting things that are, you know, half their size. See you, mate. I'll just show you how I work these Dying Flutters. So you get it in the zone, let it sit for a moment, and then you're just giving it little twitches. I like to be pretty inconsistent with the number of twitches and the length of pauses and that sort of thing. 1 at a time, 2 at a time, 1 second pause, 3 second pause, whatever. Very similar to how you work a popper. But these lures, being a fizzer, they pull water through the propellers rather than push it the way a popper does. It's a lot more subtle, and can be a lot more effective on those tough days when you need that more subtle approach, where anything noisy is more likely to spook the fish than get a bite out of them. With that subtlety in mind, you can just let the lure sit there and just turn the handle of your reel. So all you're doing is tightening up that line between you and the lure. And it just pulls it ever so slightly, almost keeps it on the spot. But those blades turn. Very, very subtle approach, and can be really, really effective on the slow days. Oh yes, there we go. It's just sitting on those rocks there. Not a very big fish. Well, there you go, that dying flutter doing the trick. Once again. Yeah, nice little one, sort of 33, 34. See you, mate. Twice there's been a fish bust out there. It's in the zone. Oh yes! Oh, given up on that cast. Oh man, he's an okay fish. High 30s. Well, there was a fish busting there. It was that guy. Old Bean. See you, mate. Oh, yep, got him. Oh, I've dropped him. Oh, no, I haven't. He's just come right out. Whoa. Oh. And he's not a bad fish either. Oh, sort of mid-30s. Oh, maybe, yeah, mid-30s. Just he came right out and around. Yeah, nice mid-30s fish. Nothing major. He nailed that dying flutter. See you, mate. Ooh, got him. Got him. Oh, that's a decent fish, I think. Oh. Oh. Feels alright. Haven't seen colour yet. Oh yeah, that might be a nice fish. Oh, oh, he's alright. Yeah, not a bad fish at all. Certainly over that 40 mark. I'm mucking around a bit with this net shot. Oh. Yeah, good fish. He'd be just touching that 40 mark. Oh. Lovely, big red eye on him. Get him back in. See you, mate. Well, there you go. The mighty Heddon Dying Flutter. First produced 70 years ago, rose to fame 50 years ago. Still a great fish catcher.